With over 1 billion monthly users, 5 billion downloads in the Play Store, Street View, and even traffic data, Google Maps has become one of the most successful tools Google has ever made. But how do they really manage to give us all those high quality images of literally almost every place on the planet and even Mars and the Moon on Google Earth? Well, the quick and easy answer to that question would be they use satellite images and car mounted cameras to collect all that data and just stitch the whole thing together to give us all those amazing visuals. But as you would imagine, the full answer is a bit more complicated than that. So it is true that Google does collect lots of satellite images from many devices, like NASA's Landsat with its many sensors and cameras, but also from partners like cities and states to, for example, get info about a number of lanes on every single road, and of course the street signs placement. But even all that isn't enough to make Google Maps the versatile tool it is, because that information on its own only gives you enough data to make a basic flat map, a very large one, but still a normal map, similar to the old ones that were used back in the days to navigate. The element that really differentiates Google Maps from those old paper ones are of course that it's online, but mostly because of Google's massive user base, which is pretty much everybody who owns a phone or a smart device at this point. A really great example of that user base being used would be Street View, this mode where you can explore roads around you with a Street Viewer. Most of these images come from Google's own Street View car, which are essentially cars with top-mounted cameras that take thousands and thousands of pictures that are then stitched together through software to make a 3D one. But in developing countries, there are no Street View cars because it's probably not worth it for Google to go there and do it by themselves. So they essentially rely on the locals to make the maps themselves, or at least supply the images to Google. And just like that, any person with a great enough set of cameras can become a Google Maps partner and supply images to Google, which can then be added onto Street View. For example, Zimbabwe was barely on Google Maps a few years ago, and this guy rented a few cameras from Google, went there, took many pictures of his routes that were then added on the app, and you can now follow them. Now, if you've played a bit of GeoGuessr or you've used Street View a lot, you've probably noticed that sometimes the path you're following isn't on a road, or maybe it's even inside a building. Well, that's because on those occasions, Google didn't use the Street View car to take the pictures because it's a car, it can't go everywhere. So they used another tool instead. It's called a trekker. It's pretty much a custom-made backpack that holds a spherical set of cameras and sensors. With that, the person carrying it can go pretty much anywhere and take the necessary images to add that place on Street View. Nowadays, trekkers aren't really used anymore because there are more compact cameras that can do the same job, but they still look kinda cool. Now, another critical aspect of Google Maps is its ability for users to claim locations on the map as their businesses or business line, because obviously Google will never be able to list all the small businesses like barber shops, dental offices, garages, and more. So making this process crowdsourced makes Google's jobs much easier, but it's also extremely beneficial for the business owner, because they're essentially getting a permanent advertisement of their store on the world's most used map, and most importantly, it's totally free. Real-time traffic is another incredible tool in Maps. It basically shows users where the traffic jams are, and the way Google manages to do that is again by using users' data, in this case their location. And with that, they're able to determine the number of cars, their speed, and by adding in information like road conditions and traffic history, Google Maps can predict with decent accuracy how much traffic there is going to be on your way. In the end, it helps the app calculate the best trajectory to get from point A to point B. So in conclusion, Google Maps is a massive data consuming app that makes billions of dollars for Google each year with ads. But it's also an extremely powerful tool that is free to use and even lets users partake in its improvement. So that way it kind of pays off for it. So thanks for watching the video. If you appreciate it and want to support the channel, you can always subscribe.